Good morning, everyone. It's 9:04. We're going to get started here. Welcome. Today is March 12th. This is the Development Services Taskforce meeting, our meeting that we have the second Friday of every month. It's a way for us to engage the community, develop community and otherwise, and we just want to make sure we kind of reach out and touch everyone. So we talk about things that are going on with development services. Every now and then we have someone to come in and speak, a department or outside agency about what's going on, the issues that they're having development-wise. Today it's all internal, and soon we're going to hopefully schedule Texas Department of Insurance to come and give a segment on what they look for when they're doing windstorm inspections. But that's going to be hopefully next month. But anyway, we have some good information to share with you today. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, Nina.
Good morning, Nina Nixon-Mendez, Assistant Director over Land Development. We have a lot of great things to report today. I'm going to first turn it over to Andrew Demas, who will report on some of our positions related to planning and zoning.
Thanks, Nina. This is Andrew Demas with Development Services as well over Land Development. So first off, we would like to announce we are moving forward with some staff positions. We've promoted one internal candidate for city planner, which is Craig Harrison. I'm sure you've all spoken with him on the phone at one time or another, checking on setbacks and zoning, plat status, all sorts of good stuff. The other two are, we have two senior planners. The offer letters, one has been sent out as of yesterday. The other is still in preparation through HR for that senior planner position. And the third, they're wrapping up the offer letter to be sent out to a gentleman for the planning tech position. Next slide, please. Alrighty, so when it comes to zoning and planning process updates, we are going live with Infor for the land development side starting on March 15th. That is more of an internal process. It does not cause any interruption of service. Your zoning cases are still moving forward on the course they normally are, as well as your class. It is more of a way of how we track cases internally as part of our performance metrics, but it is going to be entirely within the system. So now, once I think we move on to a bigger and better Infor, we'll be able to now publish certain things, and you'll have access on the side of how you actually submit through Dynamic Portal your zoning case. So someday soon in the future, you won't have to rely on the old paper style. We'll be able to go 100% paperless. Then next, we have the application fees, something we talked about briefly at the last task force meeting, that we will be collecting application fees up front. It's not the full plat cost, which you would normally pay before planning commission. It is purely just the application fee. And of course, you have your fees that you wrap up at the end of the day when it comes before recordation. Next, the complete application. So as you know, the state of Texas has our wonderful shot clock, which means we have to get a complete application to planning commission within 30 days. So we are being extremely detailed when it comes to reviewing your applications, because that is essentially what starts part of that clock process. So we want to make sure the application is complete, so we get you to TRC as quickly as possible, and that way you stay moving forward. Lastly, there is 180-day expiration, which means if we receive an application and let's say it's deemed incomplete and we're waiting on additional information, if we don't hear back from you within 180 days, essentially need to restart the application process. Secondly, that goes for plots where we've sent out TRC comments, meaning we've already taken the time to review it, we've prepared the comments, and we've sent them out. We don't hear back from either the owner or the engineering firm within 180 days, which is 6 months. It will need to restart the plotting process.
Can you ask for questions on that?
Oh, sure. Are there any questions at the time?
Yeah, I got one question. As staff moves to all digital submittals, will you guys be looking at accepting application fees, with credit card or check by phone, that kind of thing?
That's the goal. That goes through a process called dynamic portal. I know that is still being, the hood is still up and they're still working on it. But that is the goal at the end of the day, to get to a point to where we do away with checks and everything is done 100% digital.
Yes.
I don't have a time frame of when that's going to happen, but believe me, that's what we're pushing for.
I just want to say, Michael York, I think that's Michael York. IT is taking to council next month a request to purchase this new Infor product, right? It's not just for development services, it's for many city departments that are involved in the development process and feeing process. It's Infor, it's dynamic portal, which is called Rhythm, and it's a document review module, which is called DigiPlan. That's going to be, hopefully when council approves that next month in April, then the process starts of, I guess, vetting all of the departments and laying out how this new system will operate. It is still Infor, but it's not the 2014 version. It's obviously many, many versions beyond that. So as a part of that, hopefully, I know we're having trouble with online payments and those kinds of things, but hopefully that problem, one of the major problems with our online payments is that we have a new system, say a 2020 system talking to a 2014 system, and it just doesn't work as efficiently. So hopefully all those issues will be addressed as we prepare to move forward and launch this new system sometime in late 22 or early 23.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on for a policy report. City Council did approve our Unified Development Code text amendments on February the 23rd, and they are effective. We are in the process of updating our Encode Plus application, which hosts our UDC amendments. In the interim, we will be posting the amendments. They'll be available at www.cctexas.com/UDC. So we will have the ordinance up on that site for people to reference and access. And then in the coming weeks, we will be going live with the Encode Plus with the updates. The staff has also been working on a scope of work to address zoning, subdivision, landscape buffers, and traffic impact analysis. And so we will be moving forward with that for a request for proposals in the coming weeks. And that, again, was based on the UDC evaluation that was done a couple of years ago. That had recommended that we revisit some of those provisions. I know one of the comments was we have way too many zoning districts and they could be much simplified. And so, we want to be sure to look at that. Again, we want to review everything based on best management practices and, benchmarking against other cities and what is being implemented to date. So we will be moving forward with that. As far as the historic preservation plan, again, our update is in progress. And our next community meeting will be April 8th at 6 p.m. Again, this will be a web-based meeting on WebEx. And if you'd like more information, you can email dsoutreach@cctexas.com, and we'd be glad to send you any additional information. We also, again, have a website dedicated to the Historic Preservation Plan update. Again, that's cctexas.com/HPP. And then finally, on our legislative watch, we're watching 138 House bills and 60 Senate bills this past month. And next slide, please. There we go. So you can see we have a lot of activity, specifically under zoning. There were 3 bills introduced related to short-term rentals, which relates to registration by the cities and allowing for a registration fee. Also, some of these bills address regulation by property owners association of short-term rentals. We had a bill related to regulation of food production on single-family residential lots. So it provides some specific numbers in terms of ag-related activities on single-family lots. One related to Board of Adjustment, which would expand the term hardship to include financial, loss of development acreage, easement encroachment, non-conforming structures, that kind of thing. Under the building category, we have some companion bills related to building inspections and how cities collect fees during state and local disasters. We have a House bill related to building permits, which sort of essentially caps the time that a city would need to respond related to a permit, either approve, disapprove, or explain what the issue is related to that. There's also one related to the registration and permitting in terms of vacant residential buildings. And then under land development, there's some activity related to public improvement districts that sort of refines the procedural requirements and it really deals with notifications. So if you have properties that are within a public improvement district, it would sort of provide notice to those new property owners that are buying into the district that they are indeed in a district. So it's really more of a disclosure. Assisted living facilities, there's a bill that prohibits construction of assisted living facilities within the 500-year floodplain. Senate bill related to the property code, and again, this is sort of disclosure if you are located within a flood zone. There's several bills related to annexation, one on disannexation, another related to sort of disclosure requirements in terms of the service plan. And the third is related to annexing colonias without consent. So that concludes the policy report. Any questions? Okay, the next report is...
I had a question real quick.
Oh, yes, sir.
Could you go back to the slide and go back to the, I think it was on the previous slide, the UDC, the RFP. Could you just expand out a little bit more on that? Is that the RFP that has already been filled, or is this another one? We've had a couple of these.
Yeah, we did have, if you recall, we did have professional services related to an evaluation of the UDC. And in that evaluation, there were some recommendations related to revisiting our zoning districts in terms of, number one, there are, a lot of zoning districts for a city, and for this size of city anyway. And so the idea is to simplify the zoning districts, looking at the overlays and seeing if there's another way to achieve what is in some of the overlays, for example, and the numerous special districts that we have in the UDC. With respect to landscape and buffers, again, revisiting our plantings and our provisions related to those in the Unified Development Code. For example, with buffers, and I think a berm is an option. I don't think a berm has ever been used. Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, but we'd like to look and see what other cities are doing related to that. I mean, if you have a huge drainage area, do you really need a buffer, adjacent to you? Those kinds of things are the types of things we want to have revisited. In the subdivisions provision, again, looking at best practices of other cities and seeing, what we could do to improve our physical development. So again, and that's based on the evaluation that had been done about a year and a half ago.
Okay, that's what I was, just to clarify. So this is an RFP going out that will be going out to explore these things, because we had the first UDC review was like 3 years ago, and then I think we had another one. I was just trying to, because we've been the Builder Association has been trying to keep track of these things.
Right.
I was trying to make sure I understood. The first one were the.
It was sort of if I may, Bart, it was sort of an overarching review that's just sort of looked at everything. And if you recall, we had a lot of stakeholder engagement on that.
Yes.
And in terms of, what people thought we should be addressing, et cetera. And it included not only, it included a lot of external stakeholders, but we also have a lot of internal stakeholders, right? Our city departments that are engaged as well. And so what this one will do is actually, put pen to paper, and actually recommend amendments, right? So that's sort of the second stage. Now, if you recall, this past year we had a sort of a call for applications for amendments, right? And that's what was just adopted in February by City Council. And so if you recall the evaluation, there were two components. One was staff initiated amendments and sort of dealing with the things that we know that we could quickly amend. And then there are these more complex things that we need to look at in terms of the structure of the code, the zoning, subdivisions, et cetera. And that does require some we need assistance for that particular phase.
And that's exactly, so you were talking about, that's what this RFP is for, is to examine those items that that did not go through in this last UDC text amendment. There were some big items in there, and that's what this one is to examine. Am I following that? Is that correct?
Yes,
that's correct.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. And then, and forgive me, I don't recall, but it was 3 years ago. Murph and I remember we were, I just saw Murph joined in, but we were at a meeting across town with you, and there was about 5 or 6 of us there. There were some great things that came out of that, that group that was hired. Has anything ever happened with that, or is that kind of being molded into the process we're just now talking about?
Yeah, in other words, this is implementation of that evaluation of the Kindig by Kindig piece, that report.
That was the one I couldn't think of.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So thank you very much for helping me with that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And again, the intent is to continue that process that came out of that report.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Okay, now we are going to the trust fund and city participation report by Susanna.
Good morning, everybody. Not much has changed from last month, so I'm going to run through this real quick because the numbers are pretty much the same. Our available combined trust balance as of January 31st, reported by finance, was $1,527,954.94. The breakdown, the water arterial transmission and Great Main Trust has $277,121.97. The waste distribution main trust, it's got $54,738.15. The sanitary sewer trust system.
Just Susanna, I think we had a typo. That's the water distribution.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Sanitary sewer trust trunk system trust has $1,114,304.76. Sanitary sewer collection line trust is $81,790.06. The two pending agreements or that reimbursements that we have right now is West Point Crossing Unit 2 is an amendment for the lift station, which would be an additional cost of $44,057, and that one is going to council on March 30th. River Ridge Unit 4 with water and lift station. The estimated cost is $2.1 million. And I'm putting that one together once the complete package.
I received two mortgage statements. One of them
And so then once that's completed, it will be scheduled for city council. Next slide, please. Okay, the city participation, the available balance as of February 28th of this year, the combined total participation funds available is $2,497,759.83. There's still currently no participation funds allocated for 2020 bond incentive. The city participation activity for the calendar year 2020 to 2021, Gallo de Oso, Section 4, Southside Ventures, the streets participation, their estimated cost is $91,578.18, and that will be going to council on March the 16th. And the two that we have pending is the Royal Oaks Future Units, it's a PUD, detention pond, and its estimated cost is $475,000. Calico Estates, Unit 5, and detention pond with drainage, its estimated cost is $450,000. Is there any questions?
Yes. To clarify, when you say is it pending, just want to make sure those that are pending, not only in the city participation as well as the trust fund. Could you go back to the trust fund balance? Thank you. When you say it's pending, does that mean it is already funded and the money listed above it is beyond that amount?
I'll address. Yeah, thank you for that question, Bart. West Point Crossing is going to City Council for approval or, for consideration, right? None of these are funded until City Council has approved. River Ridge Unit 4, we have an application for it. So again, that has yet to go to City Council. That would be going forward to City Council for consideration. We don't have a date set yet on that because we're still pending some information from the applicant. In terms of the city participation, in terms of city participation funds, the two pending, we are awaiting applications for those. There have been discussions relating to the project, but we're waiting for applications at this point.
Very good. So the pending is referring to who's in line first.
Well, it's not, I wouldn't say who's in line. Whoever gets their application submitted and completed, they would queue in first, right? So these are just the ones we know of. When the applications come in, we'll process them as we receive them.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. One other thing, and I, of course, I can't remember the kids' names when I get home at night, so I'm just trying to remember on the trust fund balances. Did we just pass the UDC? Were any amendments saying that we can no longer combine all four accounts into one, where someone, let's say, and it's usually sewer that's the most expensive, could that 1.5 million, that's 1.5 million and change that is in a combined fund balance now, could that all be used for sewer? Absolutely.
There's no prohibition. We move money around and have moved money around forever. So it's still allowed today.
Thank you very much. I know that had been discussed, and I did not recall if that had ever been amended. Thank you, Al. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, sir. I think that's it, right? So we're going to go to the building division. Michael Dice.
Morning, everybody. Start out of the gate with what probably is on a number of people's minds right now. So we have had some permit delays. We have had some inspection delays. We are aware of what's going on with our delay and turnarounds on both of those sides. We acknowledge that volume is up. We're hitting about a 30% rise in volume over last year, combined with the ripple effect from the storm week, which we were behind on. But what we're doing right now to alleviate that is we have authorized overtime for all of our plan review and inspection staff, as well as working on Saturdays. I've had teams in here on the last 2 Saturdays to help put a dent in what we have sitting in residential and commercial plan review, as well as inspections going late in the evening and as well as Saturdays if needed. We have moved some staff from our planning technicians over to plan review to help out with the residential reviews, which is our bulk of reviews right now. So that'll also help put a dent in. We've hired some new staff. They're coming on. We had a new plan reviewer come on this week. We have offer letters out to some plan reviewers and inspectors as well. So we are actively pursuing filling the vacancies that we have. Again, it's a competitive market, and we're doing our best to fill those positions as fast as possible. Again, we do acknowledge, and we know that we're in a spike, that the things that we are looking at and doing to help bring that down, we hope to see some improvement on that in the next week or two. As you all know, we've been in the 2015 ICC codes since 2016, and we are looking at the 2021 code adoption to come up soon. We are releasing a press release later next week talking about our schedule for the proposed adoption. Right now we have organized 7 technical review committees to review the individual codes over the next few months. We'll have a committee for the IBC, one for the IRC, one for the plumbing, mechanical, and fuel gas code, one for the electric code, one for the energy code, swimming pools, which we actually just adopted the 18, the 21 is very similar, so that should be a quick group. And then the fire code, which will work with myself and the fire department. That schedule will start here pretty soon. We just made a presentation to the Construction Trade Advisory Board on the 4th. We're going to brief Planning Commission here in March of the upcoming schedule. And then we will open for applicants to these technical review committees. We're going to fill these with applicants and board members from the Construction Trade Advisory Appeals Board. We're going to open that up in April. That'll be a 30-day period to make sure everybody has adequate time to apply and get an application in. We want to start these meetings in May. We want to have at least one meeting a month per group, which equates to about 2 meetings a week. We want to have an aggressive schedule to get the codes run through and discussed and put them out in November for public comment. We're required by law to have the public comment period for 30 days. We'll extend that out if needed, but our schedule is to get a draft out by January, which we then will take, again, another comment period on the draft. And once that comment period is completed, we will take it to Planning Commission and then ultimately Council. Our goal is spring of 22 to get those building codes updated. Again, we only do this every 6 years. There are a number of cities that do this every 3 years as the codes come out. We know and acknowledge that to train staff and train customers every 3 years is a challenge, and we want to make sure that everybody out there has plenty of time to look this over, acclimate themselves to the new code, and again, build a better Corpus Christi. New codes are sometimes difficult to go through and understand changes. We're going to have plenty of engagement and communication throughout this process. We'll do presentations as needed, as well as public presentations, again, part of our engagement plan to make sure that people know and understand any changes that are coming up and any local amendments we may have. But again, we're looking at an aggressive schedule. We'll be sending out a press release next week so everybody knows what the schedule is and how we are moving through that.
And we're going to send them our proposed adoption schedule, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
IB 8, Information Bulletin 8, which we had discussed at the last meeting, it's the drainage requirements for project and infill lots joining existing structures. We've had a lot of comment, a lot of good discussion with stakeholders, and we were going to implement this April 1st. We're going to go ahead and push that out till June 1st. We'll put the new IB out with the new date. Again, this is simply for to start addressing drainage issues that we're having within the city, and adding one extra submittal layer for plans, specifically infill lots is what we're focusing on with IB8, with a little more review to that. We just want to be sure that drainage is addressed and is good for the community. But we understand, based on the stakeholder engagement, that we may need some more time to discuss and get things ready. So we're going to extend that out to June 1st. So we'll have that new information bulletin posted online beginning of next week with the new dates. Last thing to talk about, we've received a number of contractor changeouts on residential plans and commercial plans. And what a contractor changeout simply is a request to modify or change who their subs may be, plumbing, electric, mechanic. And changing out these subs is somewhat time consuming, but most importantly, it actually affects that sub's license in the sense of we don't have a clear defining line between work that was performed by one license holder, then continued by another license holder. We have had some discussions with some subs and some license holders that are concerned that if I did work on a permit that somebody else had been permitted for, and they may have had an issue with an inspection, it now goes on my permit. So we are looking at some options to reduce the contractor changeouts requests, as well as create a clear defining line between the responsibility of one license holder to the next, and then maybe to the next, depending on however that might run. But that's really it from the building side. Again, we've already addressed there have been some payment issues with our dynamic portal, but that's actually a payment issue we're seeing across the city. IT is actively working on that. If you see any issues that you're having with the portal, I know Yvette's running a list, and we're working with IT daily to make sure that they have those reports. Again, if you have any issues with those permits, dynamic portal, payment, anything related to the building department, building division, please reach out to me, and I can get you answers or get a resolution for any issues you may have. Any questions on anything from the building division?
Interesting silence. Okay, thank you, Michael. Let's move on. Director's report. February revenues and expenses. I'm going to show you something that's a bit surprising, but I think it'll show you, it's indicative of what we're saying with respect to the current volumes that development services is seeing. And I hope all of you can see that the green represents the actual, right? And as you see right there, the green tops the red, which is our expenditures. And of course it tops the blue, which is what we budgeted. We're about $155,000 in the black, right? That's indicative of the volume of submissions that we have here at Development Services, which is a good problem to have. So as Michael said, we are doing some things. Obviously, staffing is one issue that we are addressing. We're addressing that with overtime as well, but getting the right people in the right position to be able to help so that we continue to perform as we do. This is a great problem to have. So for the first time in a long time, our revenues exceed our expenditures. So that's great. The next thing I want to talk to you about are some announcements here. Michael mentioned IB8, that we're pushing that start date back. He mentioned the code adoption schedule that I'll get out to all of you because I want you to know the schedule overall, but if you want to participate on any of those 7 committees, please do so. We want to have a broad stroke of everyone participating in this process, so it's not so that everyone understands that when we get to this time next year, oh yeah, we're familiar with the codes, we're familiar with what's happening, We want to make sure we get our messaging out to the community. And you can help us do that if you engage in the process from the very beginning. So we've got several months to meet and discuss in the particular committees that you're interested in, and even if not, you just want to be updated on it. But I just want you to have an opportunity to get involved at the level you want to get involved, so that you can be informed and understand what's going on. Another thing is that we sent out this week. If Trey's on the line, I think we sent out a contact list, right? Because 1 or 2 meetings ago, the group asked for, hey, who's the contact at this department or that department or whatever. So we reach out internally to city staff, and we put together this list and we sent it out. And hopefully, I think we sent it to Wendy. So hopefully Wendy shares it with all of you, so that hey, if you're talking to someone in utilities or someone in planning or someone at Public Works, you have contact information of people, specific individuals who actually do specific things, and you can be more direct your question, and you know exactly who to go to. So that's one thing. The other thing, I had a very interesting conversation with one of the builders at Coastal Bend Home Business Association, and they said something to me that I found was very interesting. They said, we need to engage or communicate better or more, right? Communicate better or more. And that's interesting, and which is great, because that's what this meeting does, right? And if you don't know, in April, we're putting on, AIA is doing a workshop. So, and we're engaged there because they want us to kind of present what we've done over the last year, if you will, the year in review. We've presented at the Chamber of Commerce, obviously we meet with the Coastal Bend Home Builders Association regularly, and I want to make that more regularly, so that maybe every 2 weeks. And we've already reached out to Wendy, and we'll be working with her to set that up. But if there are other groups or agencies out there that want to engage with development services and want to have us more directly talk to them about their particular issues, or you want us to be a part of your forum, please reach out to myself or Bobby Ray, Michael, or Nina, and let us know, and we'll be happy to engage. I want to make sure that what we do here is transparent. It's not hidden or clandestine. It's above board, and if there's a better way to build a mousetrap, and you make the suggestion and we vet it, then surely we'll make those adjustments. But we want to communicate, or if you will, over communicate, so that you understand the things that we are trying to do through the development process, and hopefully it'll make our job easier and ultimately make your job easier. So please engage. If there's some group or agency or committee or meeting you want us to attend, we will certainly be more than happy to engage in that. Performance. Like I always say, all successful businesses run on performance, right? The business of development services is no different. These numbers will reflect kind of what we were saying about the increase in volume. And what I'll do next month is I'll show you year to date. I'll show you year to date to where we are currently and where we were the same time last year. And you can see from the numbers that, hey, it's an increase, which is, I think, a great problem to have. So in the month of February, we had a total of 229 plans added or submitted, right, that were new. Of that, 200 of those were residential plans in total. And the average review time for us in February is 4.38. And of course, our goal is 3 days. So we're a little over on that. I mean, it's not ugly, but we're off course, right? There was 29 commercial plans submitted of that 229, and our average review time for those commercial plans are 8.06, which is not bad. We're on pace there, but the residential submissions are constantly growing and climbing, and we're needing to stay on top of that. And so, as Michael mentioned, we're staffing up to do that, working overtime and coming in on Saturdays to hopefully maintain performance until we can get the ship righted and get people in place. As you see here, the total number of permits submitted in the month of February are permits, right? Of that, 962 were trade permits. Of the 1407, the number issued, the total permits issued for the month of February were 842. And of the trade permits of 842, 588 were trade permits. So not bad, right? It's a lot of things are happening here, right? And so we are trying to staff up to maintain our performance. The total rezoning applications for the month of February submitted were 5. Total number of plat applications submitted were 6. Total number of plat applications accepted were 7, because that was all those that are already in queue. Total plat applications approved by Planning Commission were 5, right? Total number of public improvement plans submitted in the month of February were 4. Our goal is 25 days. In February, we were at 16 days. So that's a very good for us, right? Overall, in the month of February, the number of inspections, the total number of inspections resulted were 2,706. Total number of inspections scheduled were 2,582 because of those in the queue. And we are at a next day service of 76%, and we want to be at 85%. So that again speaks to just the increased volume, and like Michael said, we are addressing the staffing issue so that we can hopefully get back to close to our goals, obviously. So that's where we are to date. Are there any questions, any comments? Okay, well, I thank you very much. Very quick meeting today. Have a great day and enjoy your Friday. Thank you.